Hey, everybody. It's Allie. And welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, February 23rd, 2020. Oh, the scandal of the year. Can you even believe that Amanda would dare show up at Victoria's father's gala celebration wearing the same white one-shoulder ensemble and same hairstyle as Victoria? Oh, well, that is just rude. I'm a happy girl this week. I'm a real happy girl this week. This is how it's done. This is exactly how it's done, Y&R. Luring us into a celebration of 40 years of Victor Newman with all of this nostalgia, all of this sentimentality, even a marriage proposal. Fluffing us up, luring us into a false sense of security, and then right when we are at our most lulled, bam! Somebody gets stabbed. Oh yes! Oh yes! Although, oh no, at the same time, oh no, poor Victoria! Poor Victoria! Fighting for her life in the hospital now, in a medically induced coma. I don't know about you, but I am very concerned about who's going to be taking over Newman Enterprises on Monday morning. Oh, too soon? Too soon to be worried about that? No, all next week is going to be bedside tears for someone in a coma. And all I can think about is how Victoria is, of course, going to come out of this coma very soon. And she's going to wake up and find that Adam has been keeping her seat warm. Victoria even made a comment at Victor's party about how, of course, she was the heir apparent all along. Anyone could see that. Well, I'm pretty sure that if Victor had his way, it would have been either Nick or Adam becoming the heir apparent to Newman Enterprises. And Nick's too busy off chasing cars. And Adam and Victor have been getting along for a whole episode now. I think we could see where this is going. You know that Victor is going to be delighted to let Adam help out the family by taking over the company while Victoria is in the hospital and the family's in a crisis. And it's so obvious. It's all written on the wall. By the time Victoria is all better, Victor is going to be encouraging Adam and Victoria to work side by side at Newman Enterprises, and then we'll just wait around to find out which one of them gets stabbed next. Everyone is going to blame Billy for this. It's already happening. It's already starting. Billy decided to get all drunk and stumble over to Victor's party to give him a piece of his mind. And side note, when Billy walked in to the art exhibit and he saw all of the pictures of Victor on the walls, Billy was like, "Are you kidding me?" That was rich. That was a rich moment. But Amanda, who is Billy's new Victoria, follows Billy to the party to try to get him to leave. And Ripley follows Amanda to that same party to try to get her stabbed. You know what? I don't blame Billy for any of this. You know who I blame? Kyle. I blame Kyle. If you go back and watch that series of events, Ripley was standing off in the corner watching Billy and Amanda arguing inside the art installation. And then Kyle came through the door, bumped into Ripley, confused him, and made him stab the wrong person. Way to go, Kyle! Frickin' Kyle! No, all joking aside, I think that absolutely everything about this setup was well done. I'm very impressed with Y&R this week. Victoria and Amanda wearing the very similar bright white dresses that really stood out against those flashing rainbow colors of the art installation's lighting. Those white dresses almost glowed under what seemed almost like a black light. So you were really, really drawn into these bright white dresses. And then there was the similar hair. I kept thinking all week that something was off with Victoria's hair. And it's clear in retrospect that Y&R had to style it closer to Amanda's hair in order to pull off this accidental swap stabbing. The stab swap. They even made Victoria's hair darker, and I kept thinking, why is Victoria's hair so dark? Because her roots were Victoria's normal color, but the ponytail piece in the back was really dark. And I'm guessing that they just had her natural hair stuffed somewhere up underneath the ponytail piece. But the hair was what really set it all over the edge. It made it all a very easy and understandable mistake to make. And then, of course, we had the flashing lights of the art show, which created some really beautiful mood lighting for other scenes that happened throughout the week. There were some beautiful moments that we got out of that mood lighting, but the lighting was also very disorienting. And it really added to this heightened drama, and it explains how Ripley could have gotten thrown off of his murder game and confused those two women. You know, because in the light of the day, nobody is going to confuse Victoria and Amanda for being identical twin sisters or something. It worked. It actually worked. The way Y&R did it, they made it work. Speaking of Amanda's identical twin sister, I have to tangent here for a second, because when Y&R threw out that Easter egg several months ago about Amanda being adopted and having never met her parents, they just never followed up on that. And I'm sure they will when it's time to hook her up with Devon, whenever that may be. But I never guessed in a million years that this was the direction that we were headed in with Amanda's character. I thought it was going to be twin twist and hook up with Devon. And instead, now we have this stalker and the relationship with Billy. And I can't help taking a moment to just wonder if this was Y&R's plan all along when they brought her back. Was this all part of their long game? I don't know. Somehow I doubt it. Somehow I doubt this was their master plan. But I think that somewhere along the way they managed to stumble their way into some good, strong episodes for this, what I'm assuming is a sweeps week. Now, granted, a lot of this was carried on the back of 40 years of Eric Braeden's work. I mean, I don't know that they necessarily could have pulled all of this off if it weren't for this amazing celebration of Eric Braeden's work and Victor Newman's life, but I think that this week was a total success on all fronts. What do you guys think? Were you as happy with this week's series of shows as I was? I'm going to make that our poll question for the week. I would like to know if you were loving it or hating it. This whole Y&R celebration of the 40 years of Eric Braeden, the 50 years of Newman Enterprises, the 40 years of Victor Newman. Do you give this week's set of episodes a mustache up, or do you give it a mustache down? Go to yrchat.com this weekend. Let me know how you felt about this week's shows. I told you when I first heard about this celebration that was going to happen, I had 3 requirements for this thing to be a success for me. I wanted to see Victor's office. Check. I wanted to see the top of the tower. Check. And I wanted to see a lot of flashbacks. Check, check, check. Y&R has delivered all 3 of those to me with a big silver bow on top. And they even went for bonus points by giving us a Pink Floyd laser light show with the art installation. That thing was trippy. All they needed in there was some lava lamps and some black light posters, and I was ready to go. Oh, I loved the art installation. That was really the cherry on top of the whole cake, because the art installation was announced at the tail end of the Wednesday show, after we'd already had all of our flashbacks. And so it was Nikki who kind of led us in and showed us that this was part of her surprise that she put together with Noah, who was the artist. I mean, I kind of felt like all of the gala and the dinner and all of that would have been enough for me on my own. And then all of a sudden, here we are in this glowing room filled with photos of Victor Newman from throughout the years, and some of them are edited in kind of a Andy Warhol's, Marilyn Monroe's sort of pop art way. It was really cool. Just so cool. I got about 1 million screen caps of the art installation and of all of the flashbacks. It just all felt very cool and very special to me. I can't wait to see the poll results and find out if you guys were really liking it as much as I did. I especially loved the shot of just Victor's eyes in yellow. And at the tail end of that Wednesday episode, we saw a frame of, it was shot from the back. So we were looking at this big photo of Victor's eyes, and Chelsea and Adam were standing in the foreground looking at the photo. And it was kind of an intriguing way to end that episode, because it made me think that maybe this is Y&R's way of telling us that their intention is to make Adam and Chelsea the next Nikki and Victor, which is also another one of my clues that what we're getting ready to see is Adam going back to work at Newman Enterprises and battling Victoria for that seat. Adam did at the gala dinner while everybody else was saying their speeches. Adam grabbed the microphone right out of Abby's hand right after she was done. Adam did some kind of like slick ninja move that practically melted the microphone right out of Abby's hand. And he stood up and he decided he wanted to give his speech, which nobody asked him to do. He just apparently had some things to say, and they were all pretty kind and pretty positive and pretty hopeful for the future. Adam doesn't have this same loving, admiring relationship with Victor that his other children have, but Adam did acknowledge the difficulties. Publicly acknowledged the difficulties in their relationship, and also said publicly that he wants to get to know Victor better. He said that he would like to experience some of Victor's positive qualities that everybody else has been going on and on about. Maybe what Adam said at the gala and how Adam is feeling now, making this turnaround into valuing Victor's part in the family. I wonder if maybe that was influenced by Devon, at least just a little bit, because there was a moment right before the gala started where Devon and Adam bumped into each other in the hallway at the penthouses. And Adam was scoffing about even going to the gala at all. Adam was not excited to kiss the ring, as both Adam and Billy have called it this week. And Devon really went out of his way to encourage Adam to make things right while his father is still around. Now, I mean, I don't think there's any comparison to be made whatsoever between Victor Newman and Neil Winters, but I don't think that Devon or anyone else was trying to compare the two. I think that moment right there was completely about Devon expressing his sorrow over losing his father and wishing that he had one more opportunity to talk to his dad, even though he had a good relationship at the end with Neil. He is mourning even the ability to reach out and just say hi, or just the feeling that his dad is there. I think that's really what that was about, and I liked it. I liked the scene between Devon and Adam because I also felt like it was Devon saying to Adam something that Neil might have said. You know, you could almost see Neil having that same conversation with Adam, saying, you know, make it right. Do what's right. Do it now. Don't wait. It was just it was almost like Neil was there in that moment. And also at the gala, Victor did talk to Devon a little bit about Neil and said how much he misses him. And it strikes me now just how surprising it is to me that he's gone. Like, I see his face in the flashbacks, and I realize that on some level, I still expect Neil to be walking around the corner. I expect that I'm going to see him in, a couple of weeks. There were some times where Christoph was off from the show for a couple weeks, couple months, but he always came back, and I realized in watching those scenes and thinking about Neil this week that I'm still kind of waiting for him to come back. It just doesn't feel like he's really gone. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just because it's, for instance, in comparison, it's been long enough since Catherine has died that I can conceptualize that she's gone. And also she was older and she was looking a little frail toward the end, so it wasn't a surprise. But Neil's passing, Neil/Christoph, his passing, it was so sudden. And I guess I just realized this week that there's still just this big hole of disbelief in the middle of my heart. It was still nice to get some Neil, and it was nice to get some Catherine with all of these flashbacks. Catherine was in the very first flashback scene that we got on the special Wednesday episode, and I couldn't help but notice that Catherine was right there wearing her favorite color, jewels and gemstones. Oh, I love Catherine too. I believe that she's gone. I understand and conceptualize that she's gone. And I miss her. It's just so different for Neil for some reason. I just still somehow can't believe that he's gone. But Catherine also still just sort of feels like she's here in spirit in some ways. I was imagining the speech that Catherine would have given at the gala. Oh, I think that Catherine would have had some interesting things to say about and to Victor Newman. That's for sure. In some ways, it feels like maybe Jill is the de facto representative of Catherine's these days, and Jill did stand up and she made a speech to Victor. Jill was looking pretty great in a lot of these flashbacks. That flirty scene between Victor and Jill wearing all that hairspray and having all of those boobs, and then when she kicked her shoes off and decided to make herself comfortable in his penthouse, it was kind of hot. Jill looked really hot. Jill was at her prime hotness right there, if you ask me anyway. I mean, that was on fire. Oh. It's kind of funny how in this soap opera world where everybody hooks up with everybody else eventually, Victor and Jill never really did have a romance. I mean, they might have hooked up briefly and they were flirty in that scene, but it was not a big deal. It was not enough to really make an impact. I was definitely watching at that time, and I have maybe a vague recollection that Jill was trying to seduce him to get something that she wanted. But as far as I can remember, Jill and Victor were never married. Maybe they were involved just a little bit. But, I mean, it's kind of hard to believe in a way in the world of soaps. And to have two characters who have been around as long as Jill and Victor, that they never would have been married? It's rare. Well, I guess it's never too late. How about a Victor, Nikki, Jill triangle for 2021? What do you say? I think we are going to need to just take a moment right here and right now to talk about some of this flashback fashion. All of those vintage clips were catching my eye for more than one reason. The hair alone is worthy of its own topic, and maybe the worst fashion offense of them all. Oh, Paul. Oh, the mullet. Oh, the mullet on Paul. It's so easy to pick on the mullet, but it was the height of fashion right there, and I know that. It's just that, I mean, Paul really looked like he could have just popped on a pair of tight, like leopard print pants, and he could have just fit right into an 80s hairband. It's endearing and sweet, but, you know, at the same time, it's like, oh, that was bad. I love you, Paul, but that was bad. And another one. Nicholas Newman. That guy looked like he could have grabbed a microphone and just slid right into a boy band. That 90s fashion. Josh Morrow has got to cringe when he looks at some of that old footage. I mean, he was a cutie. But that popped collar in the scene where Victor was giving him his office. Oh, Lord. Did you look at the website where I posted the comparison photo? It was Nick and Victor, decades apart, wearing the exact same color outfit with that it was that popped collar over a suit jacket. So you put your shirt on, you put your shirt jacket on, and then you grab the collar and you pop it out over the jacket, but it's those big 70s collars that have a point on it. I have totally rocked that style myself. I'm not gonna lie, I still in my closet right now have some of those big 70s pointy collars, and I was rocking them in the 90s because everything comes back around. In the 90s, that 70s style was kind of hip. Oh, it would be hard to look back through a lot of my old photos. So I'm judging, but I'm not judging, but I'm judging. I also thought that, Nikki's hair, it's always a thing of note, but I gotta tell you, I loved that opening flashback scene, the first one that we got on Wednesday, where it was Nikki and Douglas and Victor's mom and Catherine and somebody else whose face I recognize. I don't know who it was though. I recognize her face, but I can't place it. Sorry, there was someone else in that scene that I didn't pick up on. Maybe you did. I feel like she was on some other show. Famous for some other show, because she looked more familiar to me from not Y&R. So I don't know. I don't know who she was. Sorry, but that scene standing there where they were all wearing shades of red and white. Maybe it was a Christmas episode or something. Nikki's hair was so perfectly fluffed, like it was like a peppermint cotton candy or something. Nikki just, honestly, she had on that dress that was red on one side, white on the other side, and it kind of crisscrossed, and it was the best she has ever looked. The best. I screen capped it along with 400 other screen caps. If you want to go look at it. But I thought Nikki looked so good there, standing next to Douglas in his ascot. Oh, I always really liked Douglas. But I think maybe I was coming in 93. I was probably coming in a little closer to the end of Douglas's run. But I remember him. Soaps were so different back then. Victor, this very rich man, very, very powerful, and he had his confidant, Douglas. Douglas was just always the one there who was sort of advising him. Douglas was kind of the Alfred to Victor's Batman. Only, Douglas wasn't really his servant. Douglas maybe was just kind of a man of leisure. And Victor's mom was also in those scenes. She was looking very angelic. I'm assuming that that's after they reconciled. And to be honest with you, the scene where Victor was coming face to face with his mom for the first time since being a child, that was the single most impactful flashback for me from that episode. I wasn't watching at the time, so maybe that's why. I mean, in a way, for me, it felt like experiencing it for the first time. It was Victor first realizing that that was his mother, and the levels of reactions that Victor went through, it just speaks to the genius of Eric Braeden's performances. He was first looking at her like this sad, lost, abandoned child, but then you could see his face just turn into this angry man, and he was shouting at her that he's been waiting for her his whole life. It was so impactful, and the tears, it was just so powerful. See, Victor wasn't always a controlling, ruthless jerk. Maybe he was. But there have been some really endearing moments with this man over time. And the writing was really there too. The lines that he was saying, there was this soreness and this tenderness and, just the nuances in those scenes. I think that scenes like that are what made Eric Braeden this indelible star, and probably what made Victor Newman this long-lasting character. I mean, 40 years. Oh, 40 years. Wow. How about Victor's brother? What do you guys think of this guy? I mean, I vaguely remember him being around a couple times over the years. I think he came back one time when I had first started watching. But man, in the 70s and the 80s, I'm sorry, but that guy looked like he stepped straight out of a porno. He walked right off of a porno set and right onto the Young and the Restless set. I don't know, it was the hair and like, I don't know. The porn star vibes were strong with that one. I mean, did you see the shirtless scene between Matt and Victor when they were working out, maybe boxing? It seemed like maybe it was in the stables or something, and Matt was all shirtless. He just looked like a porn star to me. He probably had on some, like, he was just bare chested from the waist up, and I'm guessing that from the waist down he was wearing like some really, really short shorts with the tube socks pulled all the way up. Okay, let's transition from talking about the flashback fashion into the current fashion. I have to give you my best and worst dressed. First up, I will give you my best. Nikki was perfect. Nikki was perfect. And I do mean perfect. Her hair, go look at my screenshots. Whoever did her hair nailed it. It was the exact right amount of height and oomph. I couldn't have imagined it any better. And Nikki was also looking especially tan. London in the winter did her well. She was tan and smooth, like something in the eyes, like right up under the eyes. Her skin was so smooth and tan. I wish her dress would have been a little better. I wish her dress would have been at least a different color, because she needed some color in the dress to match all that tanness and all that color in her cheeks. I do think that dark tarnished silver color washed the rest of her out a little bit, but overall, I don't care. She was my best dress for the hair alone. Sharon was also wearing silver, but it wasn't the tarnished silver. It was more of a sparkly, shiny silver, and her dress was a bit more big, chunky sequins. So she was just, I don't know, she had some extra texture going on there with that dress. I really liked it. But the other dress that I really liked, the other person I really liked, was Chelsea. This week I learned that in addition to looking great in red, Chelsea also apparently looks great in emerald green. Basically, I am learning that Chelsea looks good in every color. But that deep emerald dress with the earrings that were like, they looked like leaves, and then they had sparkly parts in between the leaves. So it was like a leafy, diamondy earring with the green, deep emerald dress. Oh my gosh. I guess she was having to look spectacular, considering she got Adam's marriage proposal at the party. And she said yes. Adam even dropped to one knee. It was really sweet. I mean, he didn't plan it. I get the impression that Adam was just following a feeling. I think if Adam had his druthers, he would not have decided consciously to propose to Chelsea at this family event where he doesn't particularly like anybody and nobody particularly likes him. He didn't have a ring or anything, so it was obviously not a prepared thing. He just was in the moment, in love with her, and he just dropped to his knees and asked her to marry him. And I thought it was really nice. I thought, you know, I'm okay with them being back together. I think it was great. I loved the moment where they both simultaneously realize that they got their life back. I mean, after having all of that happiness ripped away from them, that they're now actually getting this second chance. It's incredible. Oh, they were a very nice looking couple. I'll tell you who else was a really nice looking couple. Pretty much always my best dressed couple, Michael and Lauren. They had a nice pop of color going on. Lauren ditched the hairpiece. Now she's all in sparkly red. And next to her was Michael in a deep red velvet jacket. Oh, man. Those two looked so good together. They're perfect in every single way. But why didn't Michael get a chance to speak at Victor's celebration? I don't know, maybe he did and Y&R just cut it out for time or something, but Michael and Victor have just as much of a long history and relationship as Paul and Victor. Maybe more. Okay, well, maybe they don't have the long history, but they have probably more, I would say, of a relationship. Michael hasn't been around as a character as long as Paul has. Okay. But Michael was Victor's right-hand man for years. Michael has been right there with Victor through every, or not every, but many, many, many shady and not so shady deals. Christine was at the party, looking youthful as ever. She got a moment to reflect on her relationship with Victor, so why not Michael? I'll tell you something, Y&R. The next time we see Christine, she is gonna have to reveal to us what her next big project is. I feel like we've been waiting around for this forever. Christine stepped down as the DA, and so Michael got the job. And I think Christine has said for the last couple times that she's been on screen that we've seen her, that she's got something planned. She has something she's going to do. And I can understand Y&R not making the time to reveal that to us this week. There was a lot going on. But next time we see Christine on screen, she's going to have to tell us, because we want to know, and it's time. Oh, she did look good. She always looks good. It's uncanny. But back to the fashion, because it's my Y&R Chat and I get to talk about the things that I'm most excited about. And you know I love the fashion. And apparently velvet suit jackets are all the rage for the men right now, because Nick had on one too. Only Nick's was a deep purple. I just love it. I love that. Makes me excited. Because men's fashion is so boring, and now here we're seeing something a little different. Like Nick's jacket, the velvet jacket, Nick's and Michael, they were plush. They were giving me texture. They were in deep red and deep purple, and it just felt right for February, especially since we didn't get any kind of sense of a Valentine's Day. And I just like it when men's fashion does something other than black, gray, or blue. So I thought Nick looked good. And I could not help but notice that Nick and Phyllis were wearing the exact same color. That deep berry purple. I mean, they looked like a couple. I guess I should have guessed right then and there that those two were going to get romantic, but I didn't. Wow, when she planted that sexy kiss on Nick, my jaw dropped to the floor. 2 weeks ago, she was planting a sexy kiss on Chance. That's my only complaint about it. Why can't Y&R develop these relationships a little bit slower so that I have time to jump on board? Like, the romance train is going by a little too fast. I need a moment to walk up the steps. Oh well, at least neither Nick nor Phyllis were married to other people and then decided to go playing kissy and hooking up. Freaking Kyle. Not over that yet. It really all comes back to what a little twerp Kyle is. But no. I mean, you know, I like Phyllis and Nick, so I guess, you know, I'm gonna lunge at the train to get on board this one. I liked the way that she kissed him and then kind of slinked away. But it was kind of like, you know me better than anyone else in the world. And it's like, well, it would have been nice to really, really dig into that and all the ways that Nick knows Phyllis and had a little bit slower of a build. But okay. They got deep and they got slow, and she just kissed him and slinked away. If Nick did not have Victoria's tragedy on his mind, oof, Phyllis would have been she would have left him something real big to be thinking about later that night. Ooh. And then she showed up at the hospital, you know, to comfort him. She gave his leg a little squeeze when she showed up, sat down next to him, squeezed his leg a little. That'll make him feel better. Oh. Another good-looking couple, though, was Devon and Elena. I really liked that although Devon's tux was black, it seemed like it had a leather trim on it. So that was a nice change of pace. And I was really tickled to see Elena early in the week asking Devon which dress she should wear to the party. And then right in front of him, she picked the opposite one. He said, all right, I like this one. And she goes, well, but what about this one? And then later, she actually showed up at the party wearing neither of those dresses. I loved that. That was very relatable. That seems like something that I would do. I gotta do it. I feel bad about it, but I gotta give my worst dressed for this gala event. It is part of my job and my sworn duty as your Y&R Chat host. Look, the worst dressed, I'll just say it, for the Newman Gala for me was Abby. It is so surprising because usually Abby's fashion is my favorite of all. She always looks good, always, and she just picks the right thing. There's been so many times where she's been my best dressed. But I'm sorry, those weird ruffles up and down the front were just awful. The color was so unflattering. I couldn't tell if it was silver or light lavender, but it was so blah. And then, there was this black corset thing in the back. It was like ruffles in the front, and then the back of the row, it kind of dropped down where the lavender was, and then when she turned around, it was just a black corset under it. Yuck! I can forgive the corset if I have to. If the ruffles were gone, maybe it would have been a prettier dress, but the ruffles were just too complicated. I'd be afraid that I would accidentally drop a shrimp puff down there and lose it forever. Phyllis takes the information that she learned in Vegas, takes it directly to Chelsea, to blackmail Chelsea for her 25% stake in the Grand Phoenix Hotel, and Chelsea let her have it. I was so mad at Chelsea for rolling over to Phyllis's demand so quickly. Chelsea talked a big game telling Phyllis about how she's learned from her grifting days to never have just one option. And then she turns around and tells Abby that she has no other option but to sell her shares to Phyllis, making Phyllis and Abby 50-50 partners in the hotel. Bull. Bull. I mean, Chelsea didn't really participate all that much that we saw in the Grand Phoenix Hotel, or should I call it the Grand Albatross Hotel, as Adam put it. Man, is it me or is Adam getting funnier? I think Y&R is putting a little more effort into Adam these days. He's had some really choice lines. The Grand Albatross Hotel. True that. But Chelsea's hardly ever even at the hotel. It's no big loss for her. Plus, she's been talking 2 weeks in a row about how she wants to start her design business again. She's just waiting because of Connor. He's all better now. That's not even a problem. Come on. She's going to start her own business. And I'm still standing by my theory that Chelsea is the mystery woman. She was sniffing around Calvin's old business for cash to get her new business started up. I'll talk more about that later. After Phyllis brings Chelsea completely up to speed about what Adam and Chance said in Vegas, Chelsea takes it to Adam to get his version of the story, which is pretty much the version of the story that, you know, we learned last week, the same one I recapped for you last week. The whole time I was listening to everything Adam said. There was no new information in Adam's explanation of what happened. I was just watching Chelsea the whole time. She wasn't mad at Adam. She wasn't judgmental toward Adam. The only thing she said to Adam was that it might have been helpful for her to have known this information before now. Almost like she knew more than she was letting on in that scene. Almost like she didn't know it was Adam who was involved in this, but she knew something else. She knew a little bit of everything else. She just didn't know that it was Adam who was writing her $1 million check. More on that later. Well, if Chelsea, or Adam for that matter, think that Phyllis is just going to go away now that she has Chelsea's stake, they can think again. Phyllis is going to continue to use this as a bargaining chip anytime she wants. And Phyllis wants more than just 50% of that hotel. Phyllis feels entitled to that hotel. She wants 100% of it. It was her plan from a long time ago that that hotel should be hers. And now Phyllis has dirt on both Adam and Chance. So Phyllis slinks right up to Chance and lets him know that she wants Abby's half, and it's up to him to figure out how he's going to make that happen. I was afraid that maybe Chance was going to break up with Abby to put some distance between them so that he could save her dream of the Grand Phoenix Hotel and her successful business empire. But he didn't do that. That was a good surprise. At the Newman Enterprises Gala, Chance just told Abby what Phyllis was asking, and he also told her the whole story about what happened in Las Vegas, and that's what the blackmail information was that Phyllis has over both Chance and Adam, and therefore Chelsea too. Well, Abby was not having it. Abby marched right up to Phyllis, who had crashed the party. And Abby let Phyllis know that this little blackmail attempt of hers was not going to work. They are going to be 50-50 partners apparently, and she doesn't like that, but Abby is planning to go to war. She will go to war for her 50% of that hotel. You know, again, I'm sorry, but this bugs me. I could not help but notice that after Chance told Abby what Phyllis had done, and Abby starts marching right over to go confront Phyllis about it, Abby grabbed Chelsea by the arm and dragged her over there to confront Phyllis too, so that, like, she had an ally for the confrontation. Abby, Chelsea is not your ally. She totally just sailed you down the river. She may hate Phyllis too, so hooray for you for organizing the Phyllis Hate Club. But you should be just as mad at Chelsea for every headache that she's given you ever since bringing her in as a partner in this hotel deal in the first place. Chelsea brought criminals into your business, Abby, and then she sold half of your business out from under you. Well, 25%, that equals half. And now, it sounds like there's going to be some lawsuit arising from the hell that Chelsea brought into that hotel and Simon Black and the hostage situation. Phyllis, early in the week, very quickly mentioned to Abby that there's some kind of pending lawsuit by some of the guests who were at the hotel the evening that Simon Black held everybody hostage, and these guests did not appreciate being sequestered in their rooms while a maniac had a gun in the lobby. Well, maybe it's some kind of legit class action lawsuit? Or maybe it's just Phyllis. Maybe Phyllis is suing the hotel so that she can bankrupt the place, drive Abby out, and buy it back up for pennies on the dollar. Jack was at Victor's celebration. Ashley was at Victor's celebration. There were some great flashbacks of both of them. But you know who wasn't at the celebration? Tracy. Tracy was a missing Abbott, but she was kind of there in spirit this week because Sharon had another chemotherapy appointment and Ray procured a fresh copy of Tracy's new book for Sharon to read while she waited. So we can assume that Tracy's book is now out on the shelves and she's super successful and she's probably very, very busy, and that's why she wasn't there. Well, after Sharon had her chemo treatment, she decided that she was feeling well enough to go to the Newman Enterprises party. After all, she is a part of this family, tied together forever via her children with Nick, which is what Nikki was very quick to point out during the bathroom scene. Oh, that bathroom scene has got to be one of the greatest moments of the last 50 years right there. Oh my goodness. Nikki walking into the ladies' room sees Sharon hunched over the counter there. We know she's feeling queasy. But at that point, Nikki does not know what's going on with Sharon. And Nikki has the nerve to get all up in Sharon's business and grill her about what's going on. Are you sick? Are you drunk? Oh my God, you're not pregnant, are you? Oh, that was such a good line. That was such a good moment, just delivered with mastery. Oh my goodness. I think we, the audience, and Sharon both simultaneously burst out into laughter as Sharon said, just thank you for that ludicrous moment, Nikki. That's going to be in a clip show probably in a couple years from now. It was so good. It's like after all of these years, it's still one of Nikki's biggest fears that Sharon is going to dig her claws deeper into Nicholas with another baby. Oh my goodness. Her claws can't get any deeper, lady. Not deeper than they already been. Speaking of their baby, though, Noah at this party as the photographer, what a nice reveal. Because all this time, Nikki was saying she went to London for a surprise, and little did we know she was working with Noah on this art installation, and he comes back and presents it. I thought that was really nice. It was good to see him. I thought he was working for Newman Enterprises. I forgot. I thought he was in Asia or something working for Newman Enterprises, but apparently not. Apparently he's becoming a photographer in London. Was he a photographer before? I don't remember. I kind of remember him being a musician for a little bit. I don't know that I remember him being a photographer. Is that new? Is that a new facet of his character? I'm not sure. He's not working at Newman, though. It's like Nick and Nick's lineage don't want to have anything to do with Newman Enterprises, and it has to annoy Victor to no end. Maybe he's coming to a place of accepting it now. I don't know. He seemed to think that Noah was a real genius with that art installation. Oh, pictures of me. That is some true talent, my boy. The way you made me look. Ugh. Yep, that's some genius right there. It was nice to see Noah, though. He's looking a little bit older, a little wiser. Cute! I could do with more Noah. I loved him. I loved the moment when he, took Sharon home and he sat with her and he asked her some questions, and she tried to be a positive mom, but she also at a point just needed to be honest with him about what she was going through, and she was also very reflective with him when she said something about, life is a carousel. Sometimes you're on the pony, sometimes you're reaching for the biggest one, and other times you're just off on the sidelines watching the carousel go by, but then you realize, it's all a ride. Man, Sharon, man, that was deep. Life is a carousel. I want to ride it all night long. Oh, great moment. I also thought it was a great moment when Noah says to her, you're still, that you're as beautiful as you ever were, right? You should let me photograph you. I love that. Oh, I love that idea. I wish that that's where we were headed, but I think Noah's leaving. I mean, she was really encouraging him to leave. She wants him to pursue his life and his career, and he's got this new talent, and, Y&R did explain why he's not going to be staying around, but I wish he would. I like Noah. Well, after Sharon had the run-in with Nikki, Sharon goes back to Ray and Nick and tells them that Nikki thought that she was pregnant. And there was this really great moment where we just saw the looks on Ray and Nick's face when it dawned on them that, is there any chance you are pregnant, Sharon? Like, huh? It rocked their little worlds. Ray said, you're not pregnant, are you? And Sharon goes, no, that was one of the tests that they ran before I started chemo treatment. But it was funny, just the looks on, Ray's face I can understand, but I'm not exactly sure why Nick looked like such a, it was a woof kind of moment for him too. It's almost, I read it as both of them just looking like it was a huge sigh of relief, like, okay, well, thank goodness it's not that. So, who else was shocked that Victor revealed to Nick first that he already knew about Sharon's cancer treatments? I guess I shouldn't be shocked. Victor Newman knows all and sees all, apparently. I think the more unbelievable thing to me was that Victor knew about this for who knows how long, but he chose to tell no one, not even Nikki. No, I find it very difficult to believe that Victor would not tell Nikki about it. You know how much Victor loves to gossip. Nikki is his #1 cohort. There is no way that he wouldn't have run right home and whispered to Nikki about it. No way. But I guess for the terms of the story, he must not have told Nikki, because Nikki really didn't know. Sharon actually approached Nikki later in the night and just told her what was going on, and the way Sharon framed it was great. It wasn't like, I need you to know this. Sharon was saying to Nikki, I think Nick and Faith are gonna need you, and it would be really great if you could be there for them right now. Nikki was really, really thrown off. She was not expecting this news. She was expecting what she always gets from Sharon, an argument. It's sort of the nature of their relationship, and in some ways it's easier because that's expected. Cancer's unexpected, but I hope that Nikki is going to be there to support Nick and Faith, and I hope that she's going to be there to support Sharon too. The one thing I don't like, though, is when, I don't know, Sharon's enemies are being all rude to her as usual, and then they find out that she has cancer, and then suddenly they become nice to her. There's something about that that feels patronizing. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see everybody going, oh, you have cancer. Like Phyllis and Nikki. I don't want to see them go, oh, you have cancer. Well, let's be best friends now. Because in retrospect, I think that was one of the things that Sharon was wanting to avoid by not telling everybody that she had cancer. She wanted to keep it a secret because she didn't want things to change. Or for people to treat her like that. But now, the secret is slowly leaking out, and soon enough, everyone will know. Is that why Crimson Lights is closing? Why is Crimson Lights closing? Was it on Monday? There was a sign sitting on the Crimson Lights counter. If you blinked, you missed it probably. But the sign said that Crimson Lights is closed starting tomorrow, reopening soon. So is this Y&R's way of telling us that we are about to take a deep dive into Sharon's cancer so we cannot expect to be seeing her business for a while? Or was it more functional? Was it just that Y&R needed to break down that set to make room for Top of the Tower and all those other sets? Or please tell me they are not quietly retiring Crimson Lights the same way that they did with the Athletic Club. I hope it's just minor. Maybe they're remodeling Crimson Lights. I do seem to remember Sharon saying something a few weeks ago about wanting to make some improvements to the shop. So, I don't know, maybe we're just going to get some new tables and chairs or something. If that's the case, though, I am nervous about it because I do not trust this Y&R team. They've had a good week. But they've been ticking me off a lot for the past year, so I just don't think I trust them to remodel Crimson Lights. Look, the Grand Phoenix and Society look real nice, but they also look like the same place. There's not they look the same. There's not a lot of variety. I do not need Crimson Lights to start looking all sleek and modern, like an art installation. No, thank you. I am fine with Crimson Lights being kitschy. Kitschy is good. For that set, anyway. It matches. I swear, if Crimson Lights reopens back up in a couple weeks or a couple of months and there is no 1990s CD jukebox in there, I am going to flip my lid. For shame. And to think I trusted you. Could that line really have come from anybody but Esther? It's such a old soapy line to have. Not a lot of people guessed it though. It was just TB84, Heather, Keisha, Henry, Ambreen, Colleen, Victoria, and Diana. You all guessed that it was Esther who said that to Kevin when he was revealing that he secretly knew his baby's gender. Oh, for shame, Kevin. And to think I trusted you. Oh. Well, let's see. Here's another quote for this week. Who said it? You gotta give the devil his due. Well, I think we all know, or can guess, who this line was said about, but can you guess who said it? You gotta give the devil his due. If you think you know, go to yrchat.com, leave your guess, and if you get it right, then I will give you your shout out right here on next week's Y&R Chat. Last week, I asked you guys what we should do with a guy like Billy, somebody who just keeps spiraling and never seems to hit the bottom. What do you do with someone that you love, but who you don't know if you're supposed to keep supporting them. They just keep screwing up. They just keep screwing up. And you love them, and maybe you want to lend them a hand, but maybe it's time to let them fail. That was the question I asked you. Do we lend Billy a hand, or do we let him fail? Oh boy, 72% of you said let him fail. Ooh, that means that 72% of you also agreed with Victor Newman. That's the more surprising poll result. Oh, it was 28% saying that you think Billy just needs a hand. Superplex says each and every one of us needs some help at some point in our lives. It's good to be merciful. Well, yes, of course. I think it's just a matter of how many times do you lend the hand? How much mercy do you show to someone? With Billy and in his situation, it seems like it's just a constant lending of hands. And when one of the hands goes away, a new hand seems to show up. And at what point do we have to let this guy start making his mistakes? I voted that I think we need to let him fail. I think we need to give a little bit of tough love to him. Let's get some other opinions on this topic. Kiki says, I voted let him fail. People bailing him out is why he keeps messing up. I think Billy needs to hit rock bottom and realize that he needs to get help for it to stick. His family should be there to offer silent support when and if he makes the choice to get help. Yes, Kiki, that's the key there. Is Billy seeking out help? Is he asking for help? And if so, then yes, lend a hand. But he's not really doing that, is he? He's not really asking for help. What he's saying is, stop helping me, in fact. So I think that's what we should do. Jamie D says, let him fail. He's telling everyone who will listen that he's tired of being the person who needs to be fixed. He dropped his therapist after he was told that he would likely always require sessions. So I gathered that he just wants to be accepted as the bad boy he is, or the bad boy he thinks he is. Let him fail and learn some lessons without the Abbott safety net. I have to say, I agree with that, Jamie D. Lynn says Billy needs a wake-up call or something, so I voted let him fail. Lynn, is this the wake-up call? Is what happened with Victoria this week the wake-up call? I gotta tell you, I don't blame this on Billy. I think there's a lot of things to blame on Billy, but I don't blame what happened to Victoria on Billy. I think this really rests completely on Ripley. It's not Billy's fault, not Amanda's fault, it's Ripley's fault. He's the one who had the knife. But it's interesting that maybe hitting rock bottom, the definition of hitting rock bottom, is Billy thinking that what he did was wrong and that it is his fault that Victoria got put in this situation. At the very end of Friday's show, we had both Amanda and Billy blaming themselves. And Billy was telling Amanda, it's not your fault. This was my fault. So maybe this is rock bottom. Maybe this is the failure. Maybe this is the beginning of something. Jamie, I'm not sure if this is the same Jamie as Jamie D, let me know. But Jamie says, and I'm going to kind of summarize this because I think it takes us to that next level of where we're going. Jamie says, I think we're about to see Billy's cycle repeat, which is that he gets what he wants, and then he doesn't want it anymore. It's Victoria right now. And then he's like, oh no, I lost the love of my life, I want her back. And then he gets her back, and I'm bored. I had asked you guys last week, do you think that this, of course, not knowing that Victoria was going to get shanked. You think Ripley made that shank in prison when he had that brief stint in the Genoa City jail? I'd asked you guys last week if you thought that maybe this was just the beginning of a reunion for Billy and Victoria. That hadn't even occurred to me until the very end of last week's Y&R chat. But Jamie is making the point that maybe it is. Maybe not only is it the rock bottom with the stabbing, but maybe it's the beginning of Billy's cycle repeating itself, where he realizes that he's harmed Victoria, he starts hating himself, he realizes that he loves Victoria, and now he wants her back. Gah, is that what's gonna happen? Is this a Billy and Victoria reunion? Well, if that's the case, then I hope she doesn't take him back. Daisy speculates, I wonder if all of this hate is leading up to Billy donating a part of his liver to save Victoria's life. Well, that would be a one-stop shop of saving Victoria's life and redeeming Billy all in one shot. Huh. You know, it is possible that we're going to spend the better part of next week with all the deathbed yada yadas, the bedside deathbed yada yadas, and then they're going to, Nate's going to come in, who, by the way, we're actually getting to see him be a doctor. That's kind of nice. But Nate comes in, maybe he says things aren't looking real good, and maybe Victoria needs a liver, and and Billy is the donor. That's a really good theory. Your theories are always good, Daisy. We'll see where we are next week. Ellen says, how did we all know that Billy would go straight to Amanda and not to his children, whose mother he just saw stabbed? And of course, Phyllis doesn't stay with her traumatized friend, Amanda, who obviously needs her. She has to run off and snuggle up to Nick. Typical. Oh, Ellen. Okay, first of all, has anybody mentioned the children? I think Nick did, maybe. Did Nick mention the kids? Did anybody maybe in the hospital waiting room? I'm not sure. But yes, there's definitely a lack of concern about the fact that the children's mommy, the children haven't been told. Faith and Noah know, but the children don't know. Yeah, that's so interesting that Y&R really didn't mention the kids very much. But, the point I like about you here, or that you've made here, was also about, Phyllis not really being there for Amanda. Because that last scene on Friday with Phyllis and Amanda, Phyllis takes Amanda back to her hotel room, and it's really clear that Amanda doesn't want to be alone. And Phyllis definitely went through the lip service motions of saying, do you need me to stay? But Phyllis wanted to get out of there. Phyllis wanted to go see Nick. And it was obvious. But it was also obvious that Amanda really needed somebody. Amanda could have died tonight. She is realizing that she was the target of all this. And yes, she's got a police officer standing guard outside of her room, but she is mentally and emotionally in a hole right now. There's plenty of people there for Nick. Amanda has no one. And Phyllis was ready to, get out of there. She tried. It's funny, because when I watched the episodes twice, and the first time I watched, I thought, Phyllis, you're kind of a jerk. For walking away from Amanda when she's obviously saying she's fine, but she's not fine. And then the second time I watched the episode, I was like, all right, Phyllis did try to stay. She didn't try very hard, but she did try to stay. Okay. And plus I understand that it was just the door being left open for Billy to show up and for Billy to be the one to comfort Amanda. But it's a really good two points to be made there. Let's talk about the rest of the Phyllis and Nick stuff here. Friday in Canada says, this is the soapiest that Y&R has been in a while. The art gallery was such a beautiful set, and I loved the creepy lighting. The stabbing was made even more terrifying by the lights going on and off, and I also loved that lighting during Phyllis and Nick's kiss. Yeah, it was a really beautiful set of lighting. And yet, you're right, it was creepy at the same time. There was a lot going on there. The lights would go low, and then they would come back, and we were able to play with those shadows. I really liked the scene where Victor's picture was being shot in the background, and then we just kind of saw the shadows of Nick and Phyllis in the foreground. It was very, very romantic. Say what you will about Phyllis and Nick, I thought it was a beautifully lit and presented scene. I liked it quite a lot, too. Diana says, I'm not looking forward to a Nick and Phyllis reunion. Sorry, Allie. We've been down that road too many times. I would love to see Phyllis hook up with Theo, as I mentioned in my 2020 predictions. They would be hot and exciting and unexpected. The older woman with a younger guy. We don't see much of that on the show. Yeah, I mean, they're two similar characters in a way, Theo and Phyllis. It would definitely be an interesting hookup. I mean, anybody they throw together that's like unexpected, that usually gets me. I like a surprise couple. But I wanted to mention too, on the idea of the older woman, younger man front, how about Theo sending those drinks over to Chloe and Chelsea's table? Early in the week, Chelsea and Chloe were having a conversation about how they've kind of evolved along in their lives. They're with former bad boys. Yeah, right. I feel like that's just more proof right there that they are certainly not done with being bad boys. And I think that Chelsea and Chloe are fooling themselves if they think that they're done being bad girls. But it was a funny moment where they're saying, I probably would have used to have been attracted to a bad boy like Theo. But oh no, those days are over. It was really cute when Chloe stood up, showed her pregnancy belly, like, oh no, I can't drink, I'm with child. But thank you for the compliment, young man. Okay, well, let's get into my theory from last week that Chelsea is the mystery woman from Vegas. Superplex says, wow, that was a wild theory, but I have a few questions. First of all, how can Chelsea be the mystery woman? Wouldn't Adam and Chance both know what she looked like? I'm assuming that they both met her at some point, and the belief is strengthened by the fact that Adam has arranged regularly scheduled payments to her. So I doubt he would have agreed to that if he didn't know her personally, or at the very least, met her once. Well, let me just pause there and respond to that. I don't think that Adam or Chance have ever met the mystery woman. The mystery woman, as far as I know, was not there when the man got killed. And I think that Riza has been acting as the go-between. I think that Riza has been sending those payments to the mystery woman, which we saw her do. Riza was the one who, went and followed up about the $1 million transfer. Riza, as the middleman, is what allows for the possibility that Adam and Chance are actually clueless that Chelsea is the mystery woman, because they've never met or never seen her. And Riza's kind of the good middleman there. She's sort of what makes it all work, this theory. Now, Superplex says, second of all, this mystery woman has become an issue for Adam and Chance because she now suspects that her husband was not, as she was led to believe, in the witness protection program all along, but instead has absconded with a huge amount of cash, which she feels entitled to. Now, I realize that I might be reaching a little bit, but I don't think it takes much of a rocket scientist to realize that this husband is probably the same man that Adam killed while saving Chance's life. So, if the mystery woman's husband was killed by Adam, then how can Calvin still be alive in order to pay a visit to Chelsea in Genoa City and die of a heart attack? Okay, well, let me respond to that. Because no, I don't think that this husband is the same man that Adam killed while saving Chance's life. That was never said. I think we're talking about two different men here. I think one man was the bad guy who Adam, had to kill to save Chance's life. And I think one man was married to the mystery woman. So I gotta give you guys this theory because I think it's more fun and more clever than whatever BS Y&R is gonna end up serving us in the end. So I have written out what my theory is about what happened in Vegas and that connects it into Chelsea. So sit back and enjoy this. This is my explanation of what's going on in Vegas. I just want to recap it again. I think it's good. So here we go. Calvin, Simon Black, and Colin are running a crime ring in Vegas, which Chance is investigating for the FBI. Calvin is ready to work with law enforcement to rat everyone out in exchange for immunity and a spot in that witness protection, which was mentioned. Calvin was prepared to fake his own death, which Chelsea knew all about, so that Calvin could be safely moved off the radar and testify later in court. Now, before Calvin, in quotes, dies, Calvin gives Chelsea this dirt about a shady accidental death that involved an FBI agent, just in case the FBI decided to double-cross him, and also so that Chelsea can use it as blackmail to get some spending money before the trial. Okay, so Calvin gets wheeled away. Chelsea plays along for months until she starts to realize that there is no witness protection. Calvin really is dead. She's up a creek and she needs more money. She lost a big chunk of money when the FBI seized that offshore account that Kevin set up for her. And at that point in the story, the rest of her money's tied up in the Grand Albatross Hotel. Chelsea blackmails this Spider guy via Riza, who is handling all of Spider's business, still is handling all of Spider's business in Vegas. So Chelsea gets paid and doesn't realize until this week that Spider was Adam and she just took $1 million of his dollars. Now, once again, I don't know who died in Vegas. I don't know if anyone died in Vegas. It could have been a faked death, and that'll be revealed, and that would also get Adam off the hook for killing somebody. I think Y&R has got to tie up this story. I think Y&R will tie up this story, and I think it will all connect back in to Colin. Chance was telling Devon this week. He made a special stop over to Devon's house to tell him that they're close to catching Colin. The FBI is hot on Colin's trail. So we are close to the end here. It's probably coming within the next 2 weeks. I would not be surprised at all to learn that this whole reveal was gonna be part of their February sweeps plan, but then things got shuffled around, so we got the Victor Newman tribute and the oh so very well clearly planned all along switcheroo stabberoo wherein Ripley shows up out of the blue and then 3 weeks later mistakes Victoria for Amanda and stabs her. Well, let's do a little bit of talking about the tribute and the flashback show and all that, which honestly, as much as I love the stabbing and I love the juicy little bit of drama at the end, I love the celebration. I thought it was great. So did TB84. Says, what a lovely tribute and celebration of Eric Braeden and the 50th anniversary of Newman Enterprises. I enjoyed it a lot. The flashbacks were older and newer, and the older ones were especially valuable for me because I never saw them, and not to mention maybe I wasn't even born at the time. It's a legend, a history, and a beautiful commemoration of the actor and the character. I loved Jill, by the way. She was very beautiful, stylish, and a seductive lady at the time. She still is. Eric was very handsome, too. Classic. Ugh, I know. You know, I love him too because I liked seeing the variation. I like seeing those 70s and 80s flashbacks because that connects me to Y&R's origin and it connects me to the time before I started watching the show. But I also really like seeing all of the flashbacks that were happening when I was watching the show because then it's like, oh, I remember that. You know, it's a nostalgia. It was both educational and nostalgic at the same time. I thought they did a great job of pulling some new clips, some stuff that we haven't seen in a long time. And I also like that you say how handsome Eric Braeden was, because he really is. He has this very rugged good looks. Yeah, I know, and he has these deep eyes. And it just reminds me that the Victor that, we've looked at within the past 5 or 10 years is not, he's not the same as he was 30, 40 years ago, I mean, there's definitely been some different versions of Victor, some good, some bad, and it's nice to remember that he wasn't all bad and controlling and annoying, because he's been that a lot within the last couple of years. I still think, by the way, though, that Y&R is not going to turn around now and have it be revealed that Victor was lying to Victoria, making up those hotel receipts. I just don't think so. I mean, they need Victor to seem really sweet right now. This is all about how much Victor has changed and what a nice guy he is. I just don't think that they're gonna turn around and reveal that he faked those receipts. I think we've got to get a reveal with next week or the week after that it was Ripley who did it, or somebody else, some other explanation. I don't think it was Victor. I don't think he was trying to go out of his way to break up Billy and Victoria's relationship. They were already broken up. But we'll see. Ellen says, OMG, sweet baby-faced Paul. He is still dreamy, but wow, he was a child when he started. I'm ready for his special episode, as he is the longest running character. Oh, I know. I had to be a little bit hard on Paul and his mullet. But he was cute. His blue eyes, I know, he was a little cutie. And the longest running character, that's why it was so offensive that they would dare cut him. And that's why I was so glad that he came back. Yeah, I enjoyed the Paul scenes too. And you're right, he does need his special episode too. Maybe we'll get that in a couple of years. Who knows? Anna says, my best dressed and most beautiful was probably Abby. Abby was on point, looking beautiful. A close second was Chelsea. I thought that dress was really flattering on her. I'm not so much into the glitter dresses, I guess, so Chelsea's was the right amount of glitter. Well, we agree on Chelsea. Wow, you gave Abby your best dressed and I give her my worst dressed. That shows you right there that fashion is subjective. We just all have different tastes, So that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed Abby's dress. I'm glad somebody did, because I felt really bad ragging on her, because I just couldn't stand it. Oh, here's another fun fashion note. Gary says, did Y&R force Victoria to dye her hair black just so she would be a much better match for Amanda for her big murder scene at the hands of Ripley Turner? I know. I've noticed that a lot of people's hair has gotten darker for the winter, and I was thinking the same thing of Victoria. Chelsea's hair also got darker, and then I was seeing Victoria early in the week thinking, boy, did they dye her hair? I guess everybody's hair is dark. And then as the week went on and I got a closer look, I could tell that ponytail was not, I don't think that was her real hair. It just didn't match. The color of the ponytail did not match the color of the roots. So I got a feeling they had on that. I got a feeling that ponytail was a hairpiece, which I am normally not very good at detecting, but I feel pretty strongly about that one. Just a guess, though. If anybody else has any other info on that, they can let us know. Another fashion note from Gary, and this is an interesting point. Gary says, Amanda was a late, last-minute, unexpected guest at Victor's celebration. She hadn't planned to go. She went running after Billy in crisis. So where was she supposed to be that night? She wasn't dressed up for this event, but she was all dressed up? Where was she supposed to be? And shouldn't she have gone there instead? You're right, Gary. Amanda just must have been hanging out in her formal attire. That is a really good question. I was also really noticing how afterwards she was just hanging out in her hotel room, sitting on the bed crying in her white dress. I think the first thing I would do would be to peel that white dress off and pitch it into the corner or burn it or something. I would want to put some comfortable clothes on right away. That dress is the talk of the town, isn't it? By the way, I forgot to mention this earlier, so I'm going to slip it in here. The bloodiness of Victoria's dress was very striking to me. You know, I'm not a fan of horror. Maybe I'm very sensitive to blood or something, but I ended up rewinding and backing up that scene a bunch of times so that I could get all these freaking screen caps of everything. Had to get the perfect screen cap of everything. So I back it up a million times, and every time Victoria pulls her hands away from her dress and it shows that bloodiness, ooh, it just, ooh, that gave me the heebie-jeebies. It was kind of graphic and gory. And then there was blood on the wall behind her. There's like blood splatter on one of those big pictures of Victor. Oh, I screen capped that too. Yeah, this was good. This reminds me of the time that Y&R did the primetime episode in the 90s. I think they did a couple primetimes, but one of them was the Victor Newman gets shot. And I just remember watching this primetime episode, and it was so usual. There was nothing special about it at all. And then right at the very end, Victor got shot. It was like they draw me in with this this lull, and then right at the end they twist it. So that's why this series of episodes felt really special to me too. They just gave it everything, including the big dramatic bloody twist at the end. Gary also says, my favorite scene, of course, was Nikki and Sharon in the bathroom. Not necessarily for the snappy dialogue, but for the situation of it. It was a striking visual. The high volume of the bathroom lighting really stood out, and what a clever way for Nikki to fall upon Sharon's vulnerability. I know everybody was loving the Nikki and Sharon scene. That was well worth the price of admission. Let's see here. Ambrini says, Phyllis has no job, and therefore nothing to do other than eavesdrop. Also, I don't like the fact that she's telling Summer to pursue Kyle. It'd be okay if Kyle was single and available, but he ain't. People don't have any self-worth anymore. Hey, how about Phyllis agreeing with Sharon on the topic of Kyle and Summer? I thought that was an interesting moment. And it's also kind of patronizing, though, too. Like, Sharon and Jack and Phyllis and Ray were standing there looking at Kyle and Summer playing kissy face at the party. And everybody's, of course, got their opinion on this. And Sharon just looks back at him and says, you know what, they're in love. Well, you know, it's hard to find your love. Some people never find their love. So, you know, I'm for it. Fine. And Jack goes, Phyllis, which is ridiculous. Phyllis, would you like to weigh in on this? How would you like to? Would you have anything you wanted to say? As if Jack would ever give Phyllis the opening to come in and like slice into this during this moment. But he did. And Phyllis says, you know what? I agree with Sharon. It's kind of patronizing. I don't know if everything that Phyllis felt was exactly everything that Phyllis said, I don't know if it's exactly what she felt, but it was clear that it was influenced by Sharon having had that very deep moment and the season, you know, feeling like, you gotta seize the day. You know, if that's who you love, then that's who you gotta be with. Yeah, but Phyllis is right there, Ambrini, pushing Summer to get it while she can. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that either. We had Lola coming back into town this week, and she was forgiving, she was firm, and she was focused. Like, Summer and Kyle didn't know what to think. Lola was telling Summer and Kyle to just carry on with their relationship. If that's what you want, then just carry on. It was weird. Seemed a little bit more like it could be Lola's evil twin or something. Like something was weird there about how cool she was about Kyle and Summer just, you know, being together right now. But Lola also came back and told Abby that she's decided to start a restaurant of her own in Miami. Well, she could have mentioned that part first. I thought Lola was about ready to leave society and we weren't going to see her there anymore. But no, apparently she's opening up her own restaurant just in Miami. Skeptical me is thinking that, you know, Abby was being very forgiving about this. I was thinking, I wonder who actually owns those recipes. Because if Lola is there cooking for Abby's restaurant, I always thought it was odd that Lola wouldn't want to be cooking for her own restaurant and getting her, having her own recipes out there for the world, considering they're like from her heart, from her culture, from her heritage. But if Abby owns the restaurant, then presumably Abby owns the dishes. So is it totally cool with Abby if Lola goes out and has another restaurant in Miami? I don't know. Abby was pretty understanding about that, if you ask me. We are never going to see that restaurant. We are never going to have any sense of Lola being there. Maybe she's working on menus for somebody else. She's working on menus for it, or she'll vaguely mention that she's working on something for it, but we will never see it. We are certainly, I think it's all meant to show us that Lola is she's focused now. She is not trying to get involved with Theo or anybody else right now. She is just focused. So, I mean, I guess that's a good thing. We're going to maybe have a little bit of space between Lola and Theo's inevitable, eventual hookup. I don't know. I wonder how much attention that's going to get next week. I wonder how much attention anything other than Victoria is going to get next week. Well, did you guys like it? What do you guys think about it? I think I'm done for the week. Why don't you go to yrchat.com and let me know how you viewed the show this week? Good? Bad? I also have another question for you. If you're a podcast listener, Dee left me a message to let me know that she was having some trouble subscribing to the podcast. Is anybody else having that trouble? And if so, can you let me know? I'm doing a little wriggling, a little moving around of some stuff on the back end to see if it's causing a problem or what the problem might be. But if podcast listeners are out there having trouble subscribing, please let me know. If anybody is having technical problems with the website or the podcast or the videos or anything else, please do let me know. Because if I don't know, I can't fix it. So yrchat.com is the website. You can always leave a comment anywhere there, and I will get it right away, and I will do my best to help you troubleshoot. Dee was great about leaving me lots of details, too. So the more details you leave me, the better. That'll help me figure out what's going on. Well, it was a big week, and I knew that this was going to be a big Y&R chat. I hope I did it justice. And I hope you all had a good time. And I hope you all come back next Sunday to see me and to chat about our show. All right, I'm going to hit the road. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.